In my time as a YouTuber, I've covered quite a few leaks over the years. Oftentimes these come from some random dude on the internet that wants to be believable, but other times it is from another random dude on the internet who is a bit more believable. But naturally, leaks like that you have to be pretty careful with because you don't know the validity of that information because it's not coming from the original source, that of the game developer. But with Fallout 76 leaks, that is all thrown out the window, as today we have some more new information around the up-and-coming DLC game mode, that known as Nuclear Winter. And that actually is just the future DLC in general, as some new leaks around this have surfaced, and in probably one of the most bizarre ways you'll ever see a leak surface. I've talked pretty extensively about Nuclear Winter in the past. As far as concrete information, we know 100% from Bethesda. There's going to be a new game mode of some kind. We're going to get some vault raids, as well as a legendary player system, which is basically going to act as prestiging in Fallout 76. They've all but confirmed we're going to hear more details around this at this year's E3 conference, which is just under 2 weeks away. But if you want more details now, you could go play the game in German, Italian, or French. Yeah, no, seriously. So in effect, it seems like following the most recent update to Fallout 76, a few things went live that weren't supposed to. This is nothing new. We've seen this happen many times through bugs or other accidental leaks from Bethesda, although this time around it's a little bit odder. Pretty quickly following the update, Italian players of Fallout 76 started noticing that either their items, their quest objectives, or even some of their challenges were named the wrong thing. They might take down a feral ghoul that was named 38 Receiver, not actually feral ghoul anymore. And all throughout the game, if you're playing on the Italian version, the German version, or the French version, you can find this. People brought attention to this pretty quickly following the update this past Tuesday. As of right now, we still haven't gotten a fix. You could actually just change the language of your game and see this for yourself. But one of the most hilarious parts of this is if you actually read through some of these items, they are in effect spoilers for the next DLC. One of the rather unfortunate parts around this is there's no fix. You either have to just avoid reading names or avoid playing Fallout 76 if you don't want to see some of these details. They're all relatively minor and obviously without context. That's just a couple of words or a sentence or two. But I went through and painstakingly compiled all of these together into a new list, speaking to some German people using Google Translate, and there's quite a few interesting things about the future of Fallout 76 and specifically the Nuclear Winter DLC. So naturally going forward, there will be spoilers, but again, if you're playing on the French, Italian, or German versions of the game, it's probably nothing you haven't seen already. Also, if you guys do want to leave a like, it took a really long time to correctly translate all of these. For some reason, some of the challenges that contained good details are actually minuscule, so I had to zoom in and use cameras to zoom in on my screen and take screenshots. Either way, it was a hassle getting this together. And one big disclaimer before we really jump into this, naturally, this is all data mined and not really meant to go public. Some of this stuff might be irrelevant now. It might be from a legacy build of the game and isn't necessarily indicative of future features, but other stuff definitely fits in with what we know already. Either way, I would take some of what you see or hear with a grain of salt. It may never end up getting implemented. Interestingly enough, many of the leaked details are actually in the Possum Scout challenges, which is one of the latest to go live for Fallout 76. All throughout these, you're going to see a lot of details about weapon mods. Some of these are actually the name of the weapon mods. Other ones are the description, like what kind of benefits it will give you. Several of these are just your typical weapon mods, like a reflex scope and then describing what a reflex scope will do. Some of the other ones do seem a bit more interesting. I'm not sure if these are necessarily new. It could just be a translation error, but we see things like an oppressor or an adjusted extended barrel. But seeing how we see all these weapon mod names and descriptions among all of the other Nuclear Winter files or namings, it seems like maybe they could play a role in the game mode later on. There's an entry for an Overseer's chair and actually a badge for an Overseer's chair. I'm not totally sure how that's related or relevant here. It could again be a translation error. I just wanted to point that one out though. There are actually quite a few photo frames you're going to be able to get seemingly with Nuclear Winter, some of them for Vault 51. That's one of the new vaults that we know will be pertinent to the new game mode, but it seems like there's going to be several kinds of photo modes, and we see even other ones for being a veteran or a soldier. But then getting even more interesting, and where I think things start to get kind of juicy, is actually where we get some of the lines that mention celebrate this victory in Nuclear Winter, and then various trophies or awards you can get from being successful in Nuclear Winter. So if you haven't watched my past video on Nuclear Winter data mines, it would be a great time to watch that now. But if you're too lazy, a brief synopsis is basically through data mining in the files, it seems like Vault 51 is going to be controlled by Zax. Zax being a supercomputer, think of Modus, but different. Zax was trying to pick an overseer for Vault 51.
And Another method will be used to select a leader.
And it looks like in part of the process of picking that new overseer, there's going to be a new PvP-based game mode.
You are victorious, but still, many rounds remain before you will be overseer.
Now, the exact nature of this game mode is debated. I personally think it's going to be pretty similar to a battle royale, because we see things like a closing firestorm ring, so it kind of locks you into a certain location and shrinks.
You are not in the safe area of the storm. Soon you will die in a nuclear flame.
He also just describes the survival of the fittest, being able to work in teams or by yourself and actually destroying some of the other squads. A lot of the core features you see in Battle Royale, but it also could be something else like a PvP or a TDM mode. Either way, one of the commonalities we see all throughout that is Zach's mentioning something along the lines of, even though you were victorious this time, you're not overseer yet, you're just further along in the process.
You were victorious in the last test. Will you survive yet again? You are victorious, but still, many rounds remain before you will be overseer.
It also seemed like you might gain access to more of Vault 51 after subsequent victories, or potentially there being separate game modes. But through this most recent data mine, we definitely get some support of that, and potentially even for my Battle Royale theory, as we do see various trophies. Named in the files are a copper trophy, a silver trophy, and a gold trophy. There also is a platinum one floating around, but it's kind of referred to in weird ways, like unlocking the platinum frame, like a photo frame in-game, but even other things, like actually getting a platinum overseer rank, whatever that means. In addition to just winning these trophies, seemingly for getting first, second, third, or potentially fourth place, it also seems like you'll actually get a physical object you could place down in your camp as a statue. That statue also corresponding to copper, silver, gold, and potentially platinum. And something to go along with this, there's many mentions of increasing your overseer rank. You could actually find many enemies named like increase your overseer rank to 1, 2, 3, and you could actually find this going all the way up to increase your overseer rank to 189. That was the highest one I saw. Tying this back together to what I mentioned before around Zach's, it seems like those voice files where he says, oh, you were victorious this time around, but you have to continue playing. Being victorious will just increase your overseer rank, but won't actually make you overseer. And then perhaps after you reach certain levels of overseer, whatever that ends up meaning, you'll gain access to new content, potentially other game modes or potentially further parts of the vaults, and that would indicate what those other voice files actually mean. But again, this is all translated, so even though the wording is overseer rank, perhaps in English it'll be rearranged differently or have a slightly different meaning, but I think the gist of it is kind of clear. There's other challenges for whatever this PvP based mode will be, because the PvP part is probably the most confirmed aspect, such as win a match while wearing power armor, win a match while naked, just win and survive a match at all. Those are pretty interesting. Obviously the naked one or just winning and surviving at all are fine, but it does seem interesting that this could indicate power armor plays a role in whatever this game mode is. It likely means you can find power armor, but it also could mean it's game mode where you bring your own items, such as your own power armor. In one section, there was 3 challenges back to back that said kill players, kill creatures, and build defenses. Now this could be from somewhere else in the game. Naturally, those aren't totally unique words, but that could be interesting if whatever this new mode is actually has a building mechanic in it. Naturally, if we're applying the Battle Royale theory, I could see how that could fit in, but even further, let's say it's a TDM mode where you actually do have a small building phase. That could be really cool and a nice way to mix things up using Fallout 76's workshop mode. In the files of Fallout 76, there has been mention of a mode known as Workshop Assault. This could be pertinent or related to that in some way. There's also a variety of kind of miscellaneous entries you could see. It seems like there's going to be some kind of Inferno power armor skin specifically. You can find entries around an Inferno power armor, but also it being Mark 1, 2, and 3. Although again, there's no further details around what that could be or how that's implemented, but it is interesting as that skin is the only power armor skin ever mentioned through this. There's also a couple of challenges named Gladiator Masks. I don't really know how that could tie in. Obviously, it could be really cool, like having a little arena 1v1 where you just fight someone else, or other things like that just being a reward for winning in this new game mode. There's mention of some kind of helmet that will protect you against the nuclear winter conditions, although again, that is translated, so it could be slightly different when we see it originally in English. There's mention of various kinds of paint types that are nuclear winter related that you will will be able to find or use. And then finally, some weird things like nuclear winter and then just permits, whatever that means, like maybe you need to get something to gain access to the mode, and even further nuclear winter group goals, which to me almost seems like it'll be a kind of challenge that you can see. Many of those other voice lines from Zax that I referenced earlier do talk about working in a squad or working in a group, almost like a TDM mode.
Data shows that allowing groups quickens the elimination of inferior candidates. Excellent work, candidates. Your elimination of the other teams was quite efficient.
So that all could be related here. Either way, that's pretty much it, or at least what I could translate successfully. Again, some of the text that was really small, I just physically couldn't get a good enough picture to actually read. This also is based off the German translation of the game. Perhaps the Italian and French version have slight modifications, although in my minor checking, they all seem to line up pretty closely. But either way, this is interesting. I love speculating around future content like this, but a lot of this stuff does seem to fit in with what we've seen in the past. But it also could indicate pretty cool new modes that are on the way and new items that will come with them. So what do you guys make of this? What do you think it's going to end up being once we actually get it in game? But with that, I thank you all again for watching. Hopefully you found this video informative, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.